Hi everyone, welcome to Scarlett's Intuitive Life. Today I'm making some yummy pumpkin bread. So I'm going to do kind of a Texas style pumpkin bread. So I'm doing pecan pumpkin bread with a glaze. It's going to be really yummy, so come along. I have a can of pumpkin that I'm going to use up. I'm going to first put all my wet ingredients into a bowl. So if you want to find the recipe, you can look in my description and everything will be in there, but just come along with me and I'll show you how to make it. So get yourself a bowl, and what we're going to start off with is we're going to need 4 eggs. So I have 4 eggs here from my chickens. So go ahead and crack those right into your bowl for the wet ingredients. So there goes one. I put my trash on the other side of the island. Here's another one. And here is another one. If you can get your eggs at room temperature, that makes it better. So leave them at room temperature, and then when you get ready to make this, you can put them in there. All right, so that's 4 eggs in there. And so what we're going to do next is going to use a can of your pumpkin. This is what mine looks like. You can get this same one or something similar. You're going to scoop the whole can into your wet ingredients here. That looks good. Do y'all make pumpkin bread where you live? Comment down below if you like to make pumpkin bread. My daughter loves the Starbucks pumpkin loaf. That's one of her favorite loaves. So I always like to make pumpkin bread just to kind of signal that fall is here, and we all enjoy that. So this recipe is going to make 2 loaves, and so you'll have one for yourself and one to share, which is what I plan to do. So get all of your pumpkin out of that can, okay? And so I've gotten everything out of that can. What you're going to do next is you're going to get some water. You're going to need 2/3 cup of water. Make sure that's correct. Yep. Okay, so go ahead and put that in with your wet ingredients. And I'm still going to need that measuring cup because we're going to do a cup of oil. And you can start to kind of mix that together if you'd like. Now get yourself a cup of vegetable oil. This is what makes it moist and have that moisture stay in it. So make sure you get your whole cup of oil. There we go. And pour that right in there with your wet ingredients. And that's going to be your wet ingredients. Go ahead and start mixing it together. I think I have a whisk over here that might be easier. Let's see. Here it is. So go ahead and whisk these ingredients together. These are your wet ingredients. For the glaze, we're going to do the glaze over the stove top. So I'll show you how to make that in a little while after we've gotten these into the oven. So you're going to need 2 cake pans, or loaf pans, I should say. Something about like this. You're going to need 2 of them. So I got 2 here that I'm going to use. So mix up your wet ingredients like so. And then we'll go ahead and do our dry ingredients. Now while you're doing this, make sure that you got your oven already preheating. Your oven's going to preheat to 300 degrees. And when you bake these in the oven, they're going to be in the oven from anywhere from an hour to an hour and 15 minutes or so. Okay, just so you know. So I oftentimes make a lot of banana bread. This is similar to that. If you've never made pumpkin bread, it's kind of like a banana bread loaf, but it's with pumpkin. And so it's got more spices and stuff, and it smells so good in the oven. It just signals that fall is here. All right, so I've kind of mixed all of that together here. Now we can go ahead and start with our dry ingredients. Okay, so I'm going to set this aside. And I've got another bowl here. This is going to be your bigger bowl because everything's going to go in with that. You're going to start off with, I'm going to put this spoon here because I'm going to use my little measuring cup. Okay, you're going to start off with 3 1/3 cup of flour. So I'm going to go ahead and just pour it right into the bowl. I have a measuring cup here. So we're going to do 1 cup. You're just using your all-purpose flour. 2 cups. 3 cups, and now we're just going to do about a third. And I have a little measuring cup here. I probably should use this one. I think this is a third cup. Yep. And a third cup, okay, of your all-purpose flour. All right, there it is. I'm going to put these aside here, and my sink's this way, so I'm going to put it over there. And so what's going to be next is we're going to do our sugar. And for our sugar, we're going to do 3 cups of the sugar. I know it sounds like a lot, but that's what it needs. I know some people sometimes do less, but I really encourage you to stick to this recipe because it is just so yummy. So this is a measuring cup. This one is 1 cup. So we're going to do 3 of these. So 1, 2, and 3. So there's our 3 cups of the sugar. Put this aside here. Okay. And so what we're going to do is we're also going to use cinnamon. These are some of our spices and stuff we're going to use. You're going to use cinnamon. You're going to use a whole teaspoon of the cinnamon. So let's see. That's a half teaspoon. Here it is. Go ahead and use a whole teaspoon of cinnamon in there. And so that's just your ground cinnamon. And then you're going to use a teaspoon of the ground nutmeg. So get yourself some nutmeg. You're going to do the same thing. I think I just heard my oven's ready. So a teaspoon of the nutmeg. All right, and put that aside. And then we're going to need some baking soda. So we're going to need about 2 teaspoons again of the baking soda. So get yourself some baking soda. Mine's a little clumped up. I'm going to loosen it up. There's 1. And 2. All right, so 2 teaspoons of your baking soda. I'm going to set this aside. Then you're going to use some pecans. You're going to use half a cup of pecans. Just go ahead and you can kind of mash them up a little bit. I like them to be chopped and a little bit fine. And then just go ahead and put them right into your bowl of the dry ingredients, okay? I'm setting aside some of my ingredients here to give me some more space to work. And all right, so we got everything here. We have our dry ingredients and our wet ingredients in the other bowl. And now you're going to mix your dry ingredients, okay? Just kind of mix them together so that the baking soda and everything gets all incorporated in there and kind of mixed in a more even way. Okay, once you've done that and you feel like you've mixed everything enough together, we're going to go ahead and add in the wet ingredients to the dry. So we're ready to do that. So here is my pumpkin wet ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and pour that into my mixing bowl that's got all my dry ingredients. And it pours in quite easily. There it is. And this bowl's almost filled to the brim here, if I could kind of show it to you, see? So I'm going to get my whisk out of there for now. I might use it again in a little bit. But I'm going to use my spoon for now. I usually like using a wooden spoon, but I can't find my wooden spoon this morning, so I've got just a metal spoon. You use whatever you like. If you prefer to use like a stand mixer or something, go ahead. I have one, but I hardly ever use it. I like to do everything kind of from scratch. I don't use a lot of different, you know, appliances and stuff like that. So what's the weather like where y'all are at? I'm in Texas and it's still quite warm, but in the mornings we have sometimes 75 degrees or so outside, and that's pretty nice for us, but it's still quite warm throughout the day, like 80s and above, almost 90s. So it's not that cool, but we are in fall spirits. All right, so you're just going to kind of mix that together for a while. Make sure that it gets real smooth and everything seems to be mixed together. I probably won't have to use the whisk. It looks like everything's mixing quite well. Okay. So I think that we'll probably keep a loaf and eat that here, and I'll send the other loaf to my husband's work because he works with a couple of guys that absolutely love sweets. So, and they're real good employees, so I would love to share with them. So keep on mixing and mixing and mixing till you feel like it's mixed enough. I haven't decorated for fall yet, but I'd like to decorate with pumpkins and different things like that. I'll probably be doing that here soon and sharing it with you on this channel, so check back for that. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside here for a moment, and I'm going to get my pans out. So I got two loaf pans, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray some vegetable oil in there. You can spread oil in there, like vegetable oil or any of these sprays in there so that they don't stick. All right, so I got that in there, and now I'm going to go ahead and pour in the pumpkin loaf mixture. Okay, everything that we just made, I'm going to pour it in. Pour it where it's just about the same on each loaf, so you want to keep it even. And, you know, get everything in there. Scrape that bowl. Make sure you get every little bit in there so it doesn't go to waste, because this is some good stuff. All right, so get all that in there. All right, so that's good. I'm going to go ahead and put this bowl here because I'm done with it now. And so you can kind of I like to go like that and just let it set a little bit smoother. And so that's what it looks like in the loaf pan, okay? That's what it looks like. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put these in the oven for an hour to an hour and 15 minutes. And while I'm doing that, I'll show you how to make the glaze. I'll show you how to make that a little bit closer to the time that these got to come out. And then I will show you how it all comes out. All right, so let's put that in the oven now. Look at that, y'all. There's the pumpkin breads. I think they're pretty much ready. So I'm going to pull them out of the oven and let them cool down. And I'll show you how to make the glaze. All right, y'all, I'm going to make the glaze now. This is just a little glaze that I put on top. And so you're going to start off with 1/4 cup of butter and just melt it in a saucepan. And then you're going to use 1/4 cup of white sugar and just go ahead and pour that in. And let that dissolve kind of into the butter. I have this saucepan set on medium-high heat, and I'll probably bring it down as it gets a little warmer, but you want that sugar to dissolve. You're going to basically make this glaze. It's going to take about 20 minutes total. So you're going to need some butter, some white sugar, and the next thing I'm going to do is some brown sugar. And for the brown sugar, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do 1/4 cup of the brown sugar. You can make sure that that is packed. And this gives it that kind of southern good taste. This is kind of my Texas style pumpkin bread. So we're going to put in the brown sugar now. And you're going to mix that in. Doesn't that look good? Kind of let that melt down. The other thing you're going to do is you're going to do a teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm just going to wing it here. And go ahead and mix that in. It smells so good in this kitchen. I wish that videos had smell-o-vision, because between the pumpkin bread that was just baking in here and this sugar, it smells so good. See some pieces of brown sugar. See if you can break it up. It will eventually melt down all the way. All right, so then the other thing we're going to do is I'm going to turn down the heat just a little bit. You're going to add in some heavy whipping cream. So you're going to do 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. Pour that directly in with your sugar and all that. And now you're just going to stir. So you're going to stir this until it kind of cooks down to a syrup. And when it gets to that point, like I say, it could take a whole 20 minutes. When it gets to that point, I'll show you how I glaze my pumpkin bread tops, okay? So I'm going to turn my camera off and I'm going to stir this while it cooks down a bit. All right, y'all, so here's our 2 pumpkin loaves. Look at that, it's so yummy. Here's the second one, I've already cut into it. And here's the sauce that I made. It's more like a caramel sauce. You can drizzle it on top, or you can just do it on each slice. And so I just put some on mine here. I'm gonna have some to try, and we'll probably have some more again later. You can use the sauce with ice cream. It is so yummy, y'all. I hope that y'all try this recipe. It is so good. Thank y'all for watching. I'll catch you on the next recipe.